Alright guys, it's time for me to do my last movie review of 2014. It's going to be a big moment, guys. Enjoy it. Anyway, hey there guys, what's up? It's Auto About Mike 18 here with another movie review. Again guys, as I said, my last movie review of 2014. This is one of the last movies I will be watching. Last 2014 movies I will be watching it, and it was the last movie I saw in the theater in 2014. So yeah, and it was a completely unexpected movie in that I did not expect to be watching this film at all. I had no intentions to see this movie. I didn't even print out a poster. I don't even have one with me, guys. But the film I'm going to be reviewing in this video, or should I say the musical I'm going to be reviewing in this video, is Into the Woods. Into the Woods is the new film adaptation of the classic Into the Woods, which was a Broadway play. And believe it or not, it was created by the guy who did West Side Story, Stephen Sondheim. And, well, one of the guys who did West Side Story. And, yeah, he did the original Into the Woods play. And now they made a movie off it. Their director is Rob Marshall. And we have a huge all-star cast. And when the credits popped up and I saw Stephen Sondheim's name, I got really excited for a second. I'm like, what? Wow! I did not know that Stephen Sondheim did the original. And you see, I went into this movie not knowing a thing. The only thing I knew was that this was a musical. Meryl Streep was in it, and she had blue hair, and then Emily Blunt was gonna, yeah, okay. That's all I knew about going into this film. I didn't know about the story involved. And I'll tell you guys, to be completely, entirely honest, I honestly had no intentions, or I just didn't want to go see this movie at all, because I'm not a fan of musicals, okay? And I know some of you are, and over the past couple years, a lot of you have wanted me to review certain films, like the new Les Miserables film with Hugh Jackman. Last year there was Frozen. I mean, animated movies and musicals, the two movie genres I don't go to unless it's Pixar. When it comes to movie genres, I just don't particularly care for them. Musicals especially, not a fan of them. And the only reason why I went to the movie today was because one of my good buddies, who I haven't seen since August, we were friends in high school, and the last thing we did together was we saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles together over the summer in August, and I hadn't seen him since. Okay, so over this long Christmas break I'm on, we hit each other up, we texted each other, and he asked me if you want to go see Into the Woods with me. I'm like, all right, cool. And this was the only movie he had seen in the theaters since he saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He had not been to the theater since. I was like, dude, what's wrong with you? Okay. But yeah, so we decided to see Into the Woods. So at 10 in the morning, we went to the theater, two 18-year-old guys in the theater just watching Into the Woods up in the top row, okay? Yeah. Anyway, guys, let's get into the plot behind Into the Woods, and then I'm going to get into a brief review, and it might not be the best review for this movie, mainly because I'm not a fan of musicals, and you guys are going to see that later on. Anyway, so the plot in this movie is basically, this movie is a series of interconnected fairy tales that are actually really popular, and these are fairy tales that I personally I had no idea what this movie was about. So going into this movie and seeing Little Red Riding Hood pop up on the screen, Rapunzel, I was like, wow, I did not know that was this movie, but it is. Stephen Sondheim took these fairy tales and put them together in this one musical and interconnected them. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and it was pretty nice. It did put a smile to my face to see some of these musicals that I've been that I've learned of since I was a kid, a young kid. Just to see them on the big screen was actually pretty nice. But basically, I would say the main central storyline is a storyline of a baker and his wife, who they are played by James Corden is the baker, and Emily Blunt plays his wife, and they cannot give birth to a child. A curse has been put over their family name by this really wicked witch, played by Meryl Streep in the film. And early on in the movie, she visits them and tells them the only way to break the curse is to gain 4 objects and bring them to her. 4 objects that she cannot touch. And these 4 objects are a cape of blood, Red Riding Hood's cape, a cow as white as milk, or Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk's cow, a slipper of, I forget the riddle for the slipper, but Cinderella's slipper, and the 4th thing is hair as yellow as corn, or Rapunzel's hair. So they have to set off into the woods, this couple, the baker and his wife, to retrieve these items in order to give them to the witch, so then she will then allow them to give birth to a son and crack this curse. And that, my friends, is the premise behind Into the Woods. Now, looking at that premise, that is actually a very smart premise, to take these fairy tales that we were taught as kids and we heard of as kids, and to put them all in a movie and interconnect them with this one main storyline of this barren baker's wife, and then get them to go on this journey to go, and all these characters are going to convene in into the woods, and all these storylines are going to unfold in the woods. Hence the name of the film, Into the Woods. But I'm going to be honest, guys. Again, just before I get more into my thoughts on the film, getting into my thoughts on musicals in general. You guys probably don't know this, but I don't watch many at all. My favorite musical, and the only one I can tolerate to watch, I've tried to watch others, it just hasn't worked out for me. The only one I tolerate to watch, the only live action one I tolerate, is West Side Story, done in the 1960s. Yeah, Natalie Wood. That is the only one I like. Only one. And the only other musicals I will watch are Disney movies. You know, I'll pop in like Beauty and the Beast, or like Aladdin, or something like that. The Lion King. Those are like half animated movie, half musical, and I think those actually do work, because Disney really knows what they're doing when it comes to music. And this is a Disney film, but it's a live action musical, and therefore a good majority of this movie feels like a giant Broadway play, and I'm not a fan of the theater. I've never gone to not one of my high school drama club performances. They did like 2 every year when I was in high school. Okay, and so 4 years. So that's 8 performances in total they've done over a course of 4 years. I had not gone to one of them because I'm not a fan of theater, and so going to see this movie, obviously, not that I'm being taken out of my comfort zone, but I'm seeing a movie, or a movie that is part of a genre I don't care for. With that said, this movie was actually pretty good. I'm not going to go as high with my score as many of you guys would. You guys enjoy musicals more than me, and that's fine. If you're watching this review and you love musicals, that's fine. That's your opinion. My opinion, I'm just not a fan of them. Therefore, simply, this isn't an accurate review. This is a review for anyone who's on the fence about seeing musicals and really doesn't know whether or not they should see this movie. In the end, I would recommend this movie to you guys, but it's not like I'm going to say, yeah, go rush out in the theater and go see this movie. You're missing so much. It's not like that. It's just, if you love musicals, I think you'll really like this movie. If you don't love musicals, you're not going to really care for this movie. And although I don't love musicals, there were some scenes I actually enjoyed. There are some production details of this movie that I actually really enjoyed. The film was very well directed by Rob Marshall. The visual effects were really, really good. The production design was great in the film. The costume design was great. And the performances, which I'm going to get into right now, were really, really good. And that is something I know a lot of people were really scared of. Most of these actors who I don't think have been in a musical before, And I think mostly everyone was worried about Chris Pine in this movie because he's never been in a musical before. Yeah, it's Captain Kirk from Star Trek, guys, in musical, as a prince chasing Cinderella, played by Anna Kendrick, who also hasn't been in a musical. But she was in Pitch Perfect, so she can sing. Anyway, so that's another thing. Casting actors who aren't in musicals regularly, who star in regular movies, in a musical, that's got to be a tough thing to do. And I definitely applaud every single actor in this movie, because I don't think there was a bad performance in this movie, especially in regards to the singing. I don't think any of the singing sounded bad, although most of it felt unnecessary, and it's just like when characters are just casually talking with each other, and then you hear the tune of their voice changing, and you're like, oh, that's it, they're going to get ready to start singing, and there they go, they're starting to sing. I'm like, why are they singing about this? Why? But it's a musical. It's how it is, guys. Again, not for me. But I don't think an actor gave a bad performance in this movie, truth be told. Let's start off with Emily Blunt. Again, never seen her sing before. She did a very good job in this movie, nominated for a Golden Globe. I thought she really pulled it off very well. Anna Kendrick, who, my word, was something to look at in this film as Cinderella. I forgot how good Anna Kendrick looks. That's all I'm going to say. She was really good as well. Her voice is she has an amazing singing voice. Meryl Streep, who gets nominated for anything she does. She can star in the worst movie of the year and still get an Oscar nomination for it. I applaud you for that, Meryl. That's tough to do, and I don't think anyone else has ever done. No, that's never happened to anyone else. But she was really good in the movie as well. I would say her voice probably blew me away the most, in that when she started singing, not saying anything was auto-tuned or anything like that, but I didn't even recognize her voice as she was singing. Didn't even, unrecognizable. Good job, Meryl Streep. Really good singing voice. Now, Chris Pine, I'm going to break all of your fears and tell you guys the truth. He did really good. I did not find a problem with his singing at all. Not a problem at all. I think he did a very good job for a movie that was well out of his comfort zone. And he looked fine in it. He didn't look like he was uncomfortable. That was the thing I was watching for. I was like, are there any of these people going to be uncomfortable? The Baker was good, James Corden, and of course Johnny Depp, who I am not a fan of either, makes a brief performance in this film as the big bad wolf. And even though he was in the movie for 5 minutes, I honestly thought this was one of the better roles I've seen Johnny Depp in, because he wasn't wearing white makeup on his face. It's alright, guys, I'm fine. Other than that, I thought the performances were very, very well done, guys. One of the best components of this film. I thought every actor was well enough dedicated to this movie and dedicated to these singing roles, which paid off. In the end, guys, I'm going to give Into the Woods, getting into my score, I'm going to give Into the Woods a solid C+, or a 7.75 out of 10. I know that seems pretty low, but again, I went as low as I did because I'm not a fan of musicals. However, I do have several really logical, complaints that make sense, that I don't know if you guys have the same complaints, or I don't know if these complaints or if these problems were in the Broadway play that Sondheim did. I don't know, because I haven't seen that play, obviously. But again, affirming that this is a well-made movie with great production details. The film was well directed. It was well shot. Cinematography was great. The setting in the woods really worked for me. I thought it was going to get a little monotonous and slow, but it really didn't. It never felt like that at all. The production design was great. The visual effects were really good. The costumes all looked amazing. The makeup, everything looked amazing on that end. And the performances were all really, really solid. And most of the music, of course, by far the best song is when they all start singing Into the Woods in the beginning. But most of the music actually worked and wasn't all that annoying. Now, getting into the complaints I had with the film. There are several moments, but this is any musical. Or some musicals, when I feel characters are talking and they could continue on that scene without singing. Okay, they don't need to break out in song, yet they will anyway. But again, it's a musical, so anything can happen. Okay, any character can break out singing at any point. I just have to get used to that. But again, not a huge fan of musicals. And there's a few slow scenes here or there, but my number one complaint with this film, and I don't know if you guys felt the same way too, but there's like two endings in this movie. It literally felt like I was watching a Broadway play because it's a musical. And when the first ending happens, it's like, okay, intermission, okay, slight little pause, okay, and then boom, goes right into the second, and it goes right into the final act. The final act, in my opinion, could have been way shorter than it was. It did not need to be 30 minutes longer than it should have been. It's just when all of the storylines wrap up about an hour and 10 minutes into the film goes on for another 50 minutes. That just wasn't necessary at all, in my opinion. Frankly, it could have been shortened to about an hour and 40 minutes at the most. There's a whole second act involving giants, and I would say majority of it can just be entirely scraped from the film. Because when the first ending happens, I'm sitting there and I look over at my friend and we're like, what the hell's going on? We still got another 40 minutes left of the movie. And we're like, what's going on here? I mean, the movie goes on and we're like, okay. So the final act was just, no, it didn't work for me. Big letdown. And it just, it was very slow paced, and it just almost entirely unnecessary. So that's how I feel about Into the Woods, guys. C+, 7.75 out of 10. I'd recommend it if you love musicals. I think you're going to enjoy the film. If not, stay away. It's not for you. But overall, I enjoyed it for the majority. So guys, if you saw Into the Woods, please let me know what you thought of it down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching my review, guys. I really appreciate it. And enjoy my last movie review of 2014. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So, thank you. Bye, guys.